In Buckeye Backers, I'm here with Rodney Potts. We just got done with the Ryan Day press conference right before Tennessee's coming in. Man, it was fun to watch, but their whole mantra is kind of, we're moving on, it's time for the playoffs, and it's a new season. What did you think about the press conference today? What was your first kind of thoughts?
Biggest thing that stood out, Will Howard, the last one to come in, said it. Said you can't let Michigan beat you twice.
Yeah, that was huge.
And they all seem to kind of reiterate, yeah, it hurts, but you have to move forward. 12 teams, this would have hurt you before. Now it hurts, but you still get a chance.
Yeah, I thought that was huge. You don't want them to beat you twice. So more of a mental game. We don't want to get in that mental game. We want to move past it. We want to look forward to Tennessee. We got the Volunteers coming in to our house at night in the shoe. They did mention a little bit about the cold weather, but blew that off because it means nothing.
Used to it.
They're used to it there. We're used to it here. They're outside practicing. They mentioned it, outside in the elements practicing. It's raining today, so I'm sure they're going to get out there and get some practice in the rain. Doesn't look like rain in the forecast for Saturday, but anything else that really jumped out at you? We had Kelly come in for the first time since the Michigan loss. He talked about it. He took that on his shoulders. He's like, I got to get players the ball in space. Got to hit that perimeter. What did you think about Kelly?
Yeah, Chip you didn't really have to ask him. People did, but he just kind of took it on the chin right away. Somebody did ask him, can you get in a rut as a play caller? He said, yes, absolutely. It seems like he thinks that's exactly what happened. He's been good all year. He called probably the game of his life against Oregon. Offensively, they had that fumble, and that was kind of it. He called a great game against Penn State.
Yeah.
I think it probably was just a one-time thing. The only thing is you don't want to do it again. And it seems like him and Dabo's talked about it and will get the ball to your playmakers.
Yep, get it out in the perimeter. They did talk about, Will Howard especially talked about getting the ball out early and making those plays often. And I really, really wanted to point that out because that was one of the things that I thought the most was get the ball out, make those pass plays. Sometimes you got to get those pass plays to open up the run, and it kind of sounded like Chip Kelly was on the same page as my thoughts and maybe everyone else's thoughts out there. You need to pass the ball. We got the playmakers on the outside. Get it to them. Let's go.
Yeah, Chip kind of definitely mentioned it, kind of by himself too, talking about you got to get locked into wanting to establish the run. You don't always have to do that. You can use the pass. Maybe 15, 20 years ago, that's kind of the way you wanted to do it. You just had to run it. In the NFL, you kind of have to do it anyways, just because everybody's so fast. But it's college. We have the screen game. It's an extension of the run.
It kind of seems like for the Michigan game, at least, they were stuck on that. We have to win the running game, and they weren't going away from that no matter what. They learned their lesson. It's time to move on, and it's a different season. This is the playoffs now, just like the NFL, just like anywhere else where you have playoffs at the lower levels. It's kind of the preseason, the in-season, and the postseason. We're in the postseason play, and they can't let Michigan beat us twice. They got to go out here and get this first win. It seems like they're like, well, you know what? We're here to win it all, and we've been here to win it all from the beginning. This didn't set us back at that, and they're ready to go.
Yeah, they seem locked in. I think Day talked about it. You kind of have like those 3 different seasons throughout the whole season, and they seem like that. They went through the beginning. They were different. Injuries, offensive line, even play style change. Will started opening up the deep ball a little bit later.
Yeah.
They tried to attack that early against Michigan. They went away from it. I imagine this week they'll do the same. Will talked about Tennessee's corner, number 3. He plays press a lot. They press pretty tight, even all the way to the field. I think Will probably will try and take a deep shot this week.
Yeah, today was offense. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit more defense, so we'll get some guys on the other side of the ball. I think we get Jim Knowles and some of the defensive players tomorrow. But today was all about the offense, and we got a lot out of it. We know Luke Montgomery is in the game plans to possibly either switch in or maybe even start. It sounded like there was a big role for him coming into this week.
It seemed like they almost wanted to say that Luke was going to play left guard. Day kind of didn't get too specific into it. He kind of left it open. And then he said Saraveld first at right guard, and he talked about Tegra rotating in with him.
Okay.
So I imagine that'll be kind of a hot hand thing, kind of what they did against Michigan State early when they were trying to figure out the right guard spot.
Absolutely.
But even Donovan Jackson talked about Luke. Will kind of let it slip early about Luke, saying like it seems like he's going to play a lot. So I think they wanted to get out of the way quick this week, just tell you, hey, Montgomery's in.
Yeah, so that was interesting because we were told at the previous press conference that there will be some pieces probably moved around at the offensive line, but today they told us there's really some shifting going on. Maybe even some younger players playing that you didn't think you were going to get to see in a game like this. But it seemed like that offensive line was really, really putting this team behind. You lose the best center in the nation, right?
Yeah,
you
Remington
lose
Trophy winner.
Remington Trophy winner. You lose a probably first round, maybe the best offensive tackle.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of shuffling going on that they had to do and to get to this point. And they've shuffled twice, 3 times. Now, this will be, what, the 4th time they're reshuffling the offensive line?
Including Zen, who's also out for the year.
Yeah. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic in what they do. They really don't have a lot of depth at offensive line anymore. If one guy goes down, they got to be ready for anyone to play at this point. And Donovan Jackson kind of pointed that out. Like, we got to have depth everywhere now. Everyone's got to be ready to play because you never know when you're going in the game. As we've kind of figured out this season. I mean, you lose 2 of the best offensive linemen in the nation. It really takes the team back, and they got to galvanize and kind of re-strategize what plays they want to call to fit those guys that are coming in, right?
Yeah, Chip talked a lot about trying to change how they approach the game. He was saying a lot, this isn't the same team it was even 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So everything, I think, you get 3 weeks essentially to prepare for this one. I think it helps a ton. You give a guy like Chip a mind like Day. We saw what Day did when he had a few weeks to prepare against Georgia. I think that they should be more ready than people might think they will be.
Yeah, so tomorrow we get to see the defense. It's going to be fun to see. Today, we really just got to know the main things. The main mantra of the day was it's time to fight, it's time to move on. You saw Will Howard, he got a little frustrated because those Michigan questions just kept coming and kept coming. And he wears his emotions on his sleeve, really. And he kind of got mad. He got a little feisty in there. Nothing, that wasn't out of the norm or wasn't professional. He's completely professional and probably one of the best guys to talk to on the field or on the football team. So what did you think about that when you got maybe a little frustrated? He's ready to move on. He wants to move on to this Tennessee team and start the playoffs, talk about the playoffs, and let's go from there.
Yeah, it's been over 2 weeks now since that loss, and honestly we haven't got to talk. He talked right after the Michigan game, and that was it. So it makes sense he was probably expecting those, but at this point, you're on now week 2 preparing for Tennessee. I'm sure you want to move past it. But I love, personally, a lot about Will. He's got hiccups in his game. But personality-wise, if I was on a team, that's who I want to be my quarterback. He's calm enough. He gets past mistakes quick. But you know what he's thinking. He lets you know. He was talking about, he's like, in the middle of games, it's on me to spark everybody.
Yeah.
Make sure that they hear me. They know what we're doing, that I'm the one leading them. And I think even at the presser, you can see him wanting to do that.
And you saw this team is kind of galvanized with each other. They talked a lot about uplifting one another, not putting anyone down. They did seem like they probably had a little rough moment there right after the Michigan game. Everyone got together. They talked about talking it out as a team, and that's really where you need to go. It wasn't offense versus defense. One's doing good, one's doing bad. No, they all got together. They hammered some of it out, and hopefully they got everything in a line, so when they go into Saturday, everything will be golden, and we'll get out of there with a big win.
So they look ready to go. They talked about it. They said they ironed out the issues. Travion, Will both mentioned it. I think they seem about as positive as they could be and on the same page, ready to fight on Saturday.
Yeah, I think we covered it from there. Buckeye Backers are out inside the Woody, and we are out. Thank you very much. God bless.